Frank, Indiana, you're in the Wilkow majority. Hello.
Oh, hello. Thanks for having me on, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. So, yeah, the reason I was calling in, I was listening to you about the Constitution, and you're talking actually your very strict constructionist view on it. And one thing, and I'm not trying to be silly, but if you read the Constitution, there's a lot of things that aren't in there. For example, you know, according to the Constitution, it doesn't address the issue if you murder somebody or things like that. And I know you're going to say, well, those are regulated by the states and things. So I guess my point is to kind of this almost blinders look on that document, and I know you're going to disagree with me on it. I don't know if that's exactly what was meant, or at least the way I look at it, too, the way I look at it. And some people will say concerning about, you know, health care and things like that, that could fall under the general welfare clause.
But it doesn't, because, hold on, I'm going to give you two things here. I'm not going to get all crazy and yell at you. First of all, common defense and general welfare are defined by the enumerated powers, okay? There is no such thing as an open-ended clause in the Constitution, because if that were the case, there'd be no need for the rest of the Constitution. If the federal government can take any measure to bring about common defense and general welfare, everything else in the Constitution would be completely unnecessary, because the government would be unlimited, right?
I guess in theory, yes. I mean, it's semantics.
No, it's not. Thomas Paine was 100% right when he said the government is a function of the Constitution, not the...
Thomas Paine didn't write the Constitution.
No, he didn't, but... He was one of the philosophers that influenced those who did. And here, let me give you an example. I'm going to go to the second. I'm going to go to the hold on. I'm going to go to the Second Amendment here. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Well, now
hold on a second. Now, if you leave that to the states, somebody will always say, "Well, what do you want people to have? Nuclear weapons?" You tell me if you think a governor would win an election on the personal ownership of nuclear weapons.
Do I think he'd win an election? Who knows? But I can't predict soothsaying into the future.
Do you really think somebody would win an election by saying, sure, anybody can have a nuclear weapon? What the hell do I care?
There was a congressman elected in Indiana, John Hostetler, who did say that and was reelected several times.
Okay, was he a governor?
So, okay, you're trying to...
No, you're assuming, hold on. The problem with what you're saying is you are saying, I don't trust the states, but I trust the federal government, as if there's some different farm where federal politicians come from.
Well, part of it, too, is, Andrew, some people, and the Second Amendment was set up so the states could have militias. I do not see anywhere, or at least, again, this is the way I look at it, and I do not see anywhere where it really says people can have unlimited ownership of weapons or guns or anything, too. But I do think just to go and look at the Constitution, say, well, if it's not exactly written in there, you can't do it.
No, the federal government can't do it. The federal government can't do it. That's what the 10th Amendment is for, sir, and that's what the amendment process is for.
I understand.
If it's such a good idea, and look, there have been bad ideas that were instituted via an amendment. The prohibition on the sale of alcohol.
Prohibition. And Andrew, the one thing I will say, I see the merits of the individual mandate argument in the context.
The metaphysical. The metaphysical intent is what...
In practicality, I do. I can see that where it is.
Okay, well then, sir, just as you worry about the future of private ownership of nuclear weapons, what is the next product that will lobby Congress to say we are a necessity and everybody should have our product?
Well, one issue is flood insurance. That is mandated by the federal government. You cannot build in the floodplain or...
But you don't have to live in a floodplain. This is a component of citizenship, sir. The concept here is that this is a component of citizenship now. You're missing the point. Thank you very much for the call.